Hey there everyone, I'm Michael, and welcome to another video. This video is probably going to be the last video you'll ever see on my current desktop computer. I'm actually getting a new laptop in the next few weeks, and I'm going to be switching to a laptop and docking station combo for my main setup. I'll be doing a video on that when I actually get it. It'll probably be an unboxing and a movie-sized review, not unlike the Alienware Area 51 review of OS First Timer of yesteryear. So I'm gonna be doing that. That's pretty exciting, but in this video I just want to show you guys a game that I'm working on that I will continue to work on throughout college. It's also a game engine, which is kinda cool, and I want to show you some of the engine features that I've implemented so far with the game. I'm not going to show any gameplay because I have nowhere near gotten there, but I will be showing a lot of cool engine features that you guys might be able to take advantage of when working with the game and possibly debugging it, modding it, making content for it, etc. Whatever you guys decide to do, this game is open source, its engine is open source, and I plan to keep it that way. So, without further ado, before I start rambling on like crazy, let's hop into the game, and I will show you guys what it can do. So at first glance, this is nothing special. It's just a little menu in the center with a play button, a settings button, a super secret developer options button, and an exit button. And they're all different colors. Well, there's a lot going on here, and the best way to show it is to just, well, go and show it. So this is a game I'm working on called Socially Distant, and as you can probably tell from the title, it is loosely based on what's going on in the current world with the global pandemic, coronavirus, COVID-19, whatever you want to call it. Basically, the idea is I'm reviving Peacenet, but under a different story and in a different world, and the player is an investigative reporter kind of person, and basically they are... story's not exactly fully planned out yet. I'm working on gameplay right now, but basically it's a hacking game, because I want to make a hacking game, and I don't want to make Peacenet. So, yeah. But as for what's going on in the user interface right now, and there are kids screaming outside, god damn it. If there's kids in the background, I don't know if my mic's picking it up, but if there are kids screaming in the background, I can't help it. It's hot in Canada right now. We just got over a major heat wave, and it's still kinda hot, and I have to have my window open and an air conditioner going on. So you're gonna hear kids screaming if my mic picks it up, and I apologize. But anyway, so I've gone over what this game is, or what it's going to be. What's going on in the user interface? Well, this is a toolkit that I'm working on for Monogame. I'm working on my own rendering system and graphical user interface toolkit, and that's what you're seeing. These colored buttons, the reason they're colored is kind of demoing something that I will show off soon, but let's go into the settings and see what's in there. As you can see, it's looking sort of like old Peacenet, where we have a resolution picker at the side here. Right now I'm running at 1600 by 900, and I can enable dark mode and enable full screen. Well, they should, or at least one of these should be enabled. But that's a bug with the user interface. I haven't exactly set that up yet. But as you saw, the settings in there allow us to do quite a bit. For one, if I press F12, as you can see, the user interface has gone to a light theme. And that's something that's new. I've never done that in any of my games. I've never had a light theme toggle. So, yeah. I will show you guys what it's like to work with this, but basically I'm implementing a really advanced skinning system that blows ShiftOS out of the water, and it's not going to be a main gameplay mechanic, but you will be able to customize the operating system that I'm building in this game, and this is part of that. So I'm going to take it back into dark mode just because that's easy on my eyes, but yeah, I'm also going to zoom in so that I can actually see what's going on. But we've got another item here. We've got this super secret developer settings thingy, and basically this is a debug user interface so that I can test text inputs, which is the most recent thing I've implemented before recording this. Text inputs are a lot better than they used to be in Peacenet and in whatever other monogame toolkits I've written. But basically, you can write, save, open, and delete a text document if you pretend that this is a text editor application and that it supports multiple lines of text, even though it doesn't. So you saw a few things going on there. For one, unlike my older user interface toolkits, when you backspace or cursor around, the text doesn't actually slide around like it used to in my toolkits. It does once you start hitting the middle of the control or the end of the control, but that's normal. You want to be able to see where you're cursoring to. But yeah, the only bug with this is, as you can see, the text that should not be displayed is not being cut off. This is a bug with the renderer. It's a missing feature that I need to implement. I know exactly what it is. It's called scissor clipping, I should say, and basically it's the graphics card's way of basically snipping away any vertices that are outside a 2D rectangle. So I have to implement that. I know exactly how to fix this bug. It's just that I haven't gotten to it yet, so don't worry. Anyway, let's restart the game because there's no way to get out of here yet. But we'll restart. We're about to hop in to a user interface I'm calling the Gateway Hell. If you've played or heard of Peacenet, then you probably know what this is a reference to, but as you can see, it looks a lot different. There's a lot of debug stuff going on here, but for the most part, this is what I want the game's user interface to look like. I'll give you a little tour. This big panel in the middle of the screen that takes up the majority of the space is your active program panel. When you're running a program that's graphical, it'll be displayed here. To the right of this is what I'm going to be calling the gateway panel and the system status panel, and basically that'll display a bunch of information about what's going on in the game. The top half will be for your system information and your player state. The bottom half will be things like in-game chat. For missions, it'll be your mission select user interface, and there's going to be a Twitter feed that basically updates as the game updates, or as the game's story progresses and gives you information about what's going on in the world. So that'll be cool to work with. I'm excited to implement that. At the very top of the screen, across the top of the window, is your system panel, and the best way to describe this, if you can't see, is think about Android. How you have your clock, your notifications, all that stuff in the top of your screen. This is that. This is exactly what that is. The only thing is, right now, it's more placeholder than anything. The system clock actually takes from your host operating system and not the in-game time, which I don't know if I'm going to implement in-game time, but I probably might. I did in Peacenet, and there were gameplay mechanics to do with it that I had not implemented, but I'm not sure about this game. But anyway, in the middle is your host name and your logged in usernames. This will be where your player name and stuff displays. And to the right is a frame rate counter and a progress bar that is constantly ticking up and then rolling back, just to test that progress bars do in fact work. So that's what that is. At the bottom is where the bulk of the functionality is. This is the terminal, and right now it serves as a developer console and doesn't really do much more than that, but this is where you're going to do most of your work in the game. Most of your gameplay is going to take place here. You can run commands, you can open programs, view files, you can do hacks, you can start and stop missions. All sorts of stuff will be doable in the terminal, and, well, it makes sense that it's the first thing that I implemented in the game. But right now, all it can do is engine commands, which I plan to keep in the game. You will still be able to run these commands that I show, and there'll be more of them. But it'll prioritize in-game commands over engine commands. But anyway, engine commands, the way they work is you basically have to look in the documentation and see what ones are available and what they do and what arguments they take. But some notable ones for debugging would be GUI, dot show bounding rects, and then you have to say either true or false. If you do true, you'll notice that there are white and yellow rectangles displaying around all the GUI elements on the screen. This is a debugging feature that I use pretty regularly to make sure that things are being laid out in the correct way and being measured correctly and stuff like that. Because this user interface is container-based and everything tries its best to measure itself and fit its children, and it's very hard to explain, but basically think something like WPF. This is what this is trying to be. So yeah. Another notable one is GUI.publishSkin, and this brings up that same user interface from before, where it lets you publish a skin even though it doesn't because it's a developer screen, but eventually this user interface will be usable, just really later on in development. There's no way to close it, but yeah, there you go. Anyway, to turn off the bounding rectangles, all you have to do is GUI.show bounding rects false, and that gets rid of them. So that works. That's cool. I like that. That's a very handy feature. The next feature you might want to know about is game.takeScreenshot. And that will take a screenshot of whatever's on screen, and it will save it to the disk so that you can view it later. So if there's a bug report you're trying to post, or you just want to take a screenshot of the game and share it with people, you can do that. That command is also bound to F2. So you can press F2 at any time, just like Minecraft, to save a screenshot. But either way, there's a command there if you need it. Another notable command is game.exit, and that literally just closes the game. So I'll relaunch it because there's one more feature that I want to show. Alright, play. And the last command that's in the game right now is GUI.loadSkinSRC. And this time you have to specify a string, and this string has to be a path to a folder. And I know exactly what folder to put here. I'm going to put D://. The reason I'm putting double slashes is because they need to be escaped. Just like in C# with a real string, you need to put 2 slashes if you want to mean a literal slash. So that's what I'm doing here, but I'm gonna do D://skins//hacker, end quote, and I'm gonna hit enter. And after a little while, the game will load that skin in, and now my background is blue. My panels are all black. The font has changed. The color of the text has changed. So this is a feature that I'm implementing called skinning, of course. You know what that was called. The idea here is you will be able to make your very own Gateway OS skins to share with other players, just like ShiftOS, because you know what? I really like that feature from ShiftOS. I loved the charm, I loved what the community made, even in my versions of the game that were particularly bad. I loved what people were able to accomplish with the ShiftOS skin engine. And in this game, I'm not making it a main part of the gameplay in that it won't be something you are forced to do to earn any sort of points. It's not going to be part of any mission. It's not going to give you any reward. It's just something that you can do if you want to. I'm giving you a lot more flexibility and a lot more robust features with this new skin system. And I'm going to show you guys how it works. So note that file path. D://skins/hacker. Go into a command prompt. And I'm gonna go D://skins/hacker. And I'm gonna open it in Visual Studio Code. I will be doing a tutorial on this someday, but this is the source directory for a Gateway OS skin. So how does it work? Well, all skins must have a skin.json file. In this file, it declares all of the information about your skin. At the top, there's a meta section, and this will be displayed in your skin's information when people download it. So, for me, I have it named Hacker, and it's developed by me, so the author is, of course, my full name. And then I have the description set to adaptation of the ShiftOS 0.0.x Hacker top-rated skin for Gateway OS. That's what this skin is supposed to be. Of course, it's work in progress. The next section is the colors section, and this is where you get to define the main colors for the light and dark theme. Fonts, these let you specify any in-game resource or a skin resource to use as a graphical user interface font. But if I wanted to, I could actually go in here and reveal an Explorer, and I could go into my goodies bag, and yes, that's a Little Big Planet reference, but I could go into my goodies bag, not open up any of my personal information, but go Assets, and Fonts, and maybe I want Source Code Pro, and I want some nice, we'll go, I believe there's a semi-bold. We'll go semi-bold.ttf. I could take this out of my tools bag, or out of my goodies bag, and I could put it inside my tools bag, inside this skin, and I'm gonna name it Code. And as you can see, VS Code sees it, so we're good to go. Then I go into my skin.json, and if I want to specify the terminal's font, what I have to do is add another block here and call it code. And for the path, I'm going to go like this, and go tilde/fonts/code.ttf. And I'm going to set the size to something nice and big, like 24. And we're going to reload the skin. And as you can see, my terminal now has a better font. So that's cool. That's how that works. It's really, really intuitive. You don't need a graphical editor for it. If you really want one, then I might program one, but making skins is very, very, very easy. All you need is a text editor and a file browser. And yet, you can still do a lot of interesting things. Now, granted, there's no ability to set, for example, the background texture for a button, or the background texture for a text input, or for well, there is for checkbox, but it's kind of annoying. And there's no way to specify the wallpaper for Gateway OS yet, other than the background color. And there's no borders for any of these panels. The desktop panel is a solid color, but I will be fixing that later on after I start implementing more of the gameplay. But for now, even without all those features, you can make your own color schemes and you can make your own font lists, and it's pretty freaking cool. But anyway, with that said, that's basically it for this game so far in this game engine. I really like it. It's a breeze to work with when it actually works. The last feature is this blue highlight thingy, where if you press F4, you can actually see what control the mouse is hovering over, because it'll be highlighted blue. That's kind of neat and kind of handy, and that's another debug feature I use. This is mostly just debug stuff. But anyway, I've been Michael. This is my last video on my current computer. Actually, probably not. I might do one more explaining one more with a final goodbye of this computer, so look out for that. I'll be doing a freaking desktop computer retrospective, I guess. But with that said, I've been Michael. Thanks so much for watching. If you guys enjoy the video, then you know what to do. If you don't like it, then you know what to do. If you want to see more, then you know what to do. If you enjoy the game or the concept or want to see the code, it's on GitHub. I'll have a link in the video description. And I will see you guys in the next video.
Solution to our problem.